Hey everyone, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly for a Wirefly cell phone schmackdown. Today we have two of the most powerful phones available in the US. If you pick the top 5 phones in the US, these two would have to be among them. They are both on Verizon. On the left is the LG Spectrum and on the right is the HTC Rezound. Now these are both 4G phones for Verizon Wireless. They both run on Verizon's LTE network. And if you didn't know better, you would think that these two were twins from a different mother or something, because they both have 720 by 1280 displays, so they're both true HD displays. They both have dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processors. They both have 1 gigabyte of processor RAM. They both have 8 megapixel cameras and can do 1080p HD video. They both have front cameras. So they are in many ways very, very similar. Now, I didn't talk about the operating system. They're both on Android 2.3. Over here, the LG Spectrum has Android 2.3.5, and over here, the Rezound has Android 2.3.4. You know, what's in a difference of that level, I really don't know. But both of these phones are expected to be able to be upgraded to Android 4, otherwise known as Ice Cream Sandwich. They're both scheduled to be, not scheduled, schedule is not the right word, but they are both expected to be updated to Android 4 probably in the next 3 months or so. So let's begin the schmackdown. I've already talked about what these phones have in common. They really do have a lot in common. They're both on the Verizon network, yet they're somehow showing different times. Don't ask me why. So, as I said, they both have fabulous displays. These are true HD displays. Now, it's a 4.3-inch display over here on the Rezound and a 4.5-inch display on the Spectrum. And for the life of me, for some reason, the Spectrum's display looks somehow bigger than simply 0.2 would mean that it would be. I don't know why, but for instance, look at the YouTube icon over here on the Spectrum, and then look at it, it's much smaller over here on the Rezound. So I gotta say that the bigger screen gets me in this case. Now I find that the LG displays have a very slight yellowish cast, and the HTC displays have a very slight bluish cast. So it kind of depends whether you like the warmer yellow look or the cooler blue look. And by the way, there may be some adjustments for that. I don't know, I haven't really tried. But in this case, I think I'm going to go with the larger, slightly warmer look that I get over here on the LG Spectrum. Not only that, but the Spectrum uses a display technology. These are both LCD displays, but the Spectrum uses a display technology called IPS, in-plane switching. And what that means is, one of the features that gives you is it has much easier to see off-axis viewing. Notice how well you can see that off-axis on the Spectrum. When I go off-axis that amount on the Rezound, it just about fades out. Let me see if I can somehow hold both of these up at the same time. They're awfully slippery, so see what that does? You can really see the Spectrum's display better than the Rezound's display. And I'm actually holding the Spectrum at a sharper angle to the camera. So pretty impressive. So that is a result of the in-plane switching technology that the LCD display has on the Spectrum. And again, these are both LCD displays, but again, it's the IPS over here. Both have absolutely beautiful resolution. I've looked at a lot of different things on them. Both are completely crystal clear and sharp. There's no ghosting or edging around anything. So I think in this case, that round, the display round, is going to go to the Spectrum. Just a little bit better for me than the Rezound's display. But I got to tell you, the Rezound's display is absolutely gorgeous. Let's talk a little bit more. I mentioned they both have front cameras. The front camera over here on the Spectrum is a 1.3 megapixel. It's a 2 megapixel over here on the Rezound. And my understanding is they both can do 720p HD video from the front cameras if you want to do that. Of course, they both will work very well for things like video chat. So I'm going to have to give the front camera round to the Spectrum. Let's talk a little bit about the back camera. Over here on the Rezound, you have an 8 megapixel rear camera with dual LED flash. You've got an 8 megapixel rear camera with a single LED flash on the Spectrum. They both seem to work very well. The camera here on the Rezound, the lens has an aperture of f2.2. I don't really know what the spec is here on the Spectrum because they haven't really made a great deal of noise about the camera, but HTC has made some noise over here about the Rezound, and they're saying that the camera is unusually good. I've taken pictures with the cameras. The cameras are both equally sharp. I find that the Rezound's camera is a little yellower looking, the shots are, but it's kind of dark, whereas the Spectrums are kind of light, and the contrast is maybe not as good as the contrast you get on the Rezound. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. First, I'm going to put up a shot I took. This is Luis on the left and Jen on the right, and I'm going to show, this is the shot from the Spectrum, and as you can see, it's kind of weak in the contrast department, reasonably sharp. It got the flesh tones fairly good, and maybe the background, the light from the background kind of overwhelms the camera. I tried to take the shot exactly this way to test exactly that, to see if the light from the background will really disturb the exposure. Now here's what it looked like from the Rezound. See, it's darker, it's yellower, but maybe it's a little more pleasing. I'm not so sure about that. So it's really kind of a close call which camera you like. I thought that the color balance was a little bit better on the Spectrum than it was on the Rezound, but you know, it's kind of your call. I could see kind of going either way. And of course, these both of these phones have adjustments for the color balance and for exposure and for many other things with respect to their cameras. Then I also took some video. I'm not going to show the video because it'll take too long, but I took some video, and the video from both of these phones is good, but I gotta tell you, the video from the Spectrum was really outstanding, especially with the audio. The Spectrum has the best cell phone audio I've heard in a video clip ever, the best. Beautiful, beautiful audio. If you go to my part 2 of the Spectrum's review, you'll see that video clip, and I was really knocked off my seat at the quality of the audio from that, considering I was holding it about 6 inches away from my mouth as I spoke. So I'm going to go ahead and give the video round to the Spectrum. So the Spectrum is starting to build these things up. Let me talk about a couple of more things. Look at how big the Spectrum is compared to the Rezound. It looks like it just completely dominates. I'll put the Rezound on top, and clearly the Rezound is narrower and shorter than the Spectrum, which is wider and taller. But let's make sure these phones stay on the correct side. Let's take a look at this. Look at their thickness. The Rezound is resoundingly thicker than the Spectrum. And you know how that translates into weight? Let me tell you this one. When you heft these two phones, the Spectrum is much lighter than the Rezound. The Spectrum weighs 5 ounces, the Rezound weighs 6 ounces. And you can really feel that difference in weight. The bottom line for me, which phone would I rather have in my pocket? I'd rather have the Spectrum in my pocket. I like to carry a phone in my shirt pocket, and the more weight you have in your shirt pocket, the more it annoyingly pulls your shirt down. Well, there's less weight for the Spectrum. That's the phone I would rather have in my shirt pocket, weighing it down. So the Spectrum is starting to build things up. The Spectrum has a 1,830 milliamp hour battery. The Rezound has a 1,620 milliamp hour battery. So the Spectrum has a bigger battery. On the other hand, it's got a bigger display, and it remains to be seen if the IPS display technology in the Spectrum will draw the battery down more than just a standard LCD or, say, an AMOLED display might. The fact is, I haven't really had a chance to test the batteries in great detail. Okay, so it looks like we have a bigger battery here, but I'm not sure how that translates. So that particular round is going to be a draw. Now I want to run a test here, or I want to show the results of a test. I ran the Antutu benchmark on both of these phones, and you can see how they fared with the Antutu benchmark. So the over here, the Spectrum, I ran both these tests recently. The Spectrum I ran yesterday and the Rezound I ran today. The Spectrum got 6,341 for its Antutu benchmark, and the Rezound got 5,963. Now that's not a huge difference, it's less than 10%. So in the overall scheme of things, it probably won't mean much to your use of the phones. I'll let you go ahead and see some of those other numbers there. So, however, the winner here by a small margin is going to be the LG Spectrum. Let's talk a little bit more about these two phones. Now, the LG Spectrum has an LG skin that's overlaid over Android 2.3, and it looks good enough, but, you know, frankly, it's a little boring. It doesn't really do much for me. It's nice and bright. Now, when you get to the end, you can't go any further. You can only go back the other way. Notice the little red dot as it moves from page to page. Now I'm at the end. I can only go back to the right. So that's how that works on the LG Spectrum. Yeah, that's okay. You can certainly get from page to page. On the other hand, the HTC Rezound uses HTC's Sense user interface that it overlays over Android. And with the Rezound, you can just go around and around and around and around. And if you want to have fun, you can do a barrel roll like that and spin it around and have some fun. So I give the fun factor and really a usability factor to HTC Sense over here on the Rezound. So that round, the usability and user interface round, goes to the Rezound. There's a big thing that we haven't talked about here, and it really is a very big feature. The HTC Rezound comes with Beats audio technology. Not only does it have the technology built into the phone, but it comes with a $100 set of Beats earphones. The Spectrum, on the other hand, doesn't come with any earphones at all. The box is completely empty of earphones. So that is a huge benefit in favor of the Rezound. Ultimately, though, what does it mean to me? Now, you have to understand, I'm reviewing these from my perspective. I'm sure there's lots of you out there who have your cell phone in your pocket and you've got your earphones plugged in and you're listening on your earphones. Me, on the other hand, I listen to my cell phone most of the time in my car, and the Beats audio technology doesn't work when I plug the Rezound into the aux input in my car. So I don't really, for the most part, don't get the benefit of the Beats audio technology. I wish that I did, but I don't. So, although I grant that the Rezound has Beats audio and that it is actually a major item in favor, and certainly when the audio round comes around, the Rezound is going to take the audio round, but the fact is that it doesn't really mean all that much to me because I don't get to use it because the Beats audio technology doesn't work when you plug it into an aux input in a car. And I wish it did. I wish that I had a Beats equalizer and I could experiment with that, but it only works, Beats audio only works with the Beats earphones that come with the Rezound. So although that's an important part of it, I can't really weight that too heavily overall in this Schmackdown. Well, I'm getting ready to wrap this up. You notice that I've got quadrant on these. I tried to run quadrant, but had some trouble. The fact is they won't run quadrant roughly about the same speeds because it basically got the same processor inside and basically the same internal architecture. So there is one other thing that I want to talk about, and that is that the Spectrum over here comes out of the box with 4 gigabytes of internal storage. That's storage for your files, for your videos, for your photos, for your music files, whatever you want to store on your phone. It has 4 gigabytes of internal storage. The Rezound has 16 gigabytes of internal storage. The Spectrum comes with a 16 gigabyte micro SD card pre-installed from the factory out of the box, so you get 20 gigabytes of out-of-the-box storage on the Spectrum. The Rezound also has a 16 gigabyte card, so you get 32 gigabytes out of the box for storage in the HTC Rezound. So the Rezound's got nearly a haymaker when it comes to storage. Okay, there's been a bunch of different rounds here, and the Spectrum took a lot of rounds, and here's what I have. It's very close. Both these phones are very close. I think I'm going to go with the Spectrum for this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown. I like the way it fits in my pocket better. I like the way that it doesn't weight down my pocket. Now, as far as the storage is concerned, I can put a 32 gig card in there if I need more storage. Frankly, for me, 20 gigabytes is probably going to be plenty over the life of this phone. I like the warmer look of the display. I like the better off-axis look. I like the fact that it had slightly higher scores with the Antutu benchmark, which is a pretty comprehensive benchmark. Now, the Rezound in its favor has got a higher resolution front camera. It probably has a little bit better quality main camera, although I couldn't really demonstrate that in my tests. I really like the audio that I got with video here on the Spectrum. The audio from the Rezound is pretty good, but not as good as the Spectrum was. So this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown is going to go in favor of the LG Spectrum. Now, the Rezound is a great phone. I think the Rezound is one of the best phones there is out there. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. Put up a very strong fight in this Schmackdown. Of course, if you're looking for a new phone, either the Rezound over here on the right or the Spectrum here on the left, Wirefly would love to be the one to sell it to you. We are the nation's largest online retailer of cell phones, and we got that way because we have great products, we have great service, and great prices. So give Wirefly a call if you need to buy a cell phone. Hey everybody, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly. Thanks for watching.